The morning of November 22nd, 1963, dawned bright and unseasonably warm in Dallas, Texas. As the city stirred to life, few could have anticipated the historical weight that the day would soon assume. On this day, the world would come to a halt, fixed upon the tragedy that unfolded in Dealey Plaza. Yet, to fully understand the magnitude of what was lost, one must first revisit the vibrant era that was John F. Kennedy's presidency at time of great promise and peril. A period marked by the convergence of hope and fear on the world stage. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, known affectionately as JFK, was more than just the 35th President of the United States. He was a symbol of youthful vigor and idealism that captured the imagination of millions. Born into a family of immense wealth and political influence, Kennedy's ascent to the presidency in 1961 was seen as a beacon of a new era. At the age of 43, he became the youngest man elected to the office, and his charisma, coupled with his eloquent rhetoric, gave many Americans a renewed sense of optimism. Kennedy's presidency unfolded against the backdrop of the Cold War, a time when the threat of nuclear conflict loomed ominously over the globe. The world was polarized between two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, each armed with enough nuclear weapons to ensure mutual destruction. It was an era defined by an ideological clash between capitalism and communism, and every decision made in the corridors of power was scrutinized for its potential to tip the scales toward disaster. In the early years of his administration, Kennedy faced a series of pivotal challenges that tested his resolve as a leader. The failed Bay of Pigs invasion in 1961, intended to overthrow the Cuban dictator Fidel Castro, was an early setback that cast a shadow over his presidency. Yet, it was during the Cuban Missile Crisis in October 1962 that Kennedy's leadership was most critically tested for 13 tense days. The world teetered on the brink of nuclear war as the United States confronted the Soviet Union over the installation of nuclear missiles in Cuba. Through a combination of deft diplomacy, calculated risk, and sheer nerve, Kennedy navigated the perilous waters of this crisis, ultimately reaching a peaceful resolution and averting catastrophe. Beyond the global chessboard of the Cold War, Kennedy's presidency was also a time of profound social change within the United States. The civil rights movement was gaining momentum, challenging the entrenched systems of segregation and discrimination that had persisted for generations. Kennedy's administration, though initially cautious in its approach to civil rights, gradually became more vocal in its support for equality. In June 1963, Kennedy delivered a landmark address calling for civil rights legislation, declaring that the issue was as old as the scriptures and as clear as the American Constitution. The confluence of these global and domestic challenges defined Kennedy's presidency as a pivotal moment in American history. His vision for the future, articulated in his inaugural address with the stirring words, Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country, inspired a nation to look beyond itself and strive for collective progress. As Kennedy embarked on a political tour of Texas in November 1963, he was acutely aware of the political tensions simmering beneath the surface. Texas was a crucial state for Kennedy's re-election prospects in 1964. Yet it was also a bastion of conservatism, where he faced significant opposition. Despite these challenges, Kennedy was determined to bridge the political divide, reaching out to Texans with a message of unity and progress. The morning of the fateful day began like any other on the campaign trail. Kennedy, accompanied by his wife Jacqueline, Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson, and a host of aides, arrived in Dallas to a warm reception. Crowds lined the streets, eager to catch a glimpse of the glamorous first couple, as they made their way to the motorcade that would take them through downtown Dallas. There was an air of excitement and anticipation. The motorcade route was meticulously planned to maximize Kennedy's visibility to the public. It was to wind its way through the city, culminating in a luncheon at the Dallas Trade Mart. The streets were lined with well-wishers, waving American flags and cheering as the presidential limousine passed by. The day was a testament to the magnetic appeal of JFK and the hope he represented for so many. Amid the throngs of onlookers were individuals whose lives would be forever changed by the events about to unfold. Among them was Abraham Zapruder, a local dressmaker who had brought his home movie camera to capture the historic visit. Standing atop a small concrete pedestal in Daley Plaza, Zapruder had an unobstructed view of the motorcade as it turned onto Elm Street. As the limousine approached the Texas School Book Depository, where Lee Harvey Oswald, a disaffected former Marine, was stationed with a rifle, the atmosphere remained one of celebration. Kennedy, seated in the back of the open-top limousine with Jacqueline beside him, was the picture of grace and composure. He waved to the crowd, his face a mask of calm, unaware of the danger that lurked nearby. The moment of horror came suddenly, shattering the peace of the day. The crack of gunfire rang out, echoing through the plaza, and in an instant, the world was changed. Kennedy slumped forward, mortally wounded, as Jacqueline instinctively reached out to him. The motorcade accelerated, racing toward Parkland Hospital in a desperate bid to save the president's life. In the minutes and hours that followed, chaos reigned. News of the assassination spread like wildfire, plunging the nation into a state of shock and disbelief. In the chaotic aftermath, eyewitnesses struggled to comprehend what they had seen, their minds grappling with the enormity of the event. For those who were present, the day would be forever etched in their memories, a moment frozen in time when history took a tragic turn. As the world grappled with the loss of Kennedy, the implications of his assassination reverberated far beyond the immediate tragedy. The questions that arose in its wake, questions of conspiracy, of motive, and of truth, would fuel decades of debate and investigation. Yet in that moment, as the sun set over Dallas, the world was united in grief, mourning the loss of a leader who had dared to dream of a better tomorrow. The day the world stopped was a day that redefined the course of history, a day when the promise of a new era was cut short by violence. It was a day that underscored the fragility of life and the enduring quest for justice and understanding. As we delve deeper into the accounts of those who witnessed the events of that day, we seek not only to uncover the truth, but to honor the memory of a man who left an indelible mark on the world.